Today I thought I'd do a overview and tabletop of review of my P320 X Compact. And this X Compact, the version of this X Compact actually comes, it's the RXP version. It actually comes with the Romeo 1 Pro on it. It comes with the suppressor height sights, day-night sights already set up on it, so that it is able to co-witness right out of the box. So it holds, it's empty, so it comes with two 15-round steel magazines with the orange followers, right? It has the Sig, the flat-faced trigger, and we'll go ahead and pull that now to show you that, to show you the take-up. So there's the take-up, the brake, reset, brake. So it's got a little bit of take-up. Once it's on the wall, there's not much there's not much creep or any roll there. It just kind of like goes right through and breaks, and then the reset is decently short. The red dot that this one came with, the Romeo 1 Pro, which I kind of do like. I'm not a fan of the Romeo 0. I don't like to stick my finger in there to adjust the brightness settings. But in there is the battery, so you don't have to take it off to get the battery out. This is the 3 MOA red dot version. It's got 10 day brightness settings and I think 2 night vision settings. It's approximately 1 MOA adjustments. And it, like I said, if you can see through here, it co-witnesses just fine through the with the suppressor height sights. It's got a pretty good size window. It's not an SRO size window. I mean, it's smaller than that, obviously, but it's a decent size window, and the glass is pretty clear, so it's a pretty good red dot. As far as the pistol goes, pistol's got pretty good undercut right there, so you can get as high up as possible on a Sig. Sigs are known for their high bore axis, pretty much, and especially the P320 lineup is known for a high bore axis, but I'm not really sure that bore axis actually makes a whole heck of a lot of difference. I'm not sold on that being as big of a deal as people say. The ergonomics of the gun are good. I get a good grip I get a real good grip on this pistol with my support hand, and a full 3-fingered grip on the actual grip itself. The stippling is nice. They do have stippling on the front of the trigger guard here. If you're one of those folks that likes to take your finger and hold your support hand on the front of the trigger guard when you're shooting. I don't do that, but if you like to do that, it's actually cut out with a little bevel right here as well to kind of hold your finger there. So it looks like it's actually made for folks that do that. It has a Picatinny rail in the front to attach your light to it, giving you a lot more light options. The barrel is 3.6 inches, and the overall weight is 25, maybe a little bit more than 25 ounces on the firearm. Then, of course, you have to add in the sights are probably a little bit heavier because they're larger sights. And, of course, the red dot. But the firearm is 25 point something ounces. This, like all the other P320s, has the removable serialized fire control unit. So there's your fire control unit, and that's the serialized part of the gun. So if you're not familiar with SIGs, both the P320 and the P365s have the fire control unit as the actual gun. So you can take that out and take different grips and different slides and barrels and kind of build your own firearm. For my P365 collection, I have multiple slides that I don't even have guns for, right? Like I have the full XL slide that's comped, and then I have the full XL with the 3.1 inch barrel, and then I have the full XL slide that's not comped with the 3.7 inch barrel, right? So just they're interchangeable. And the same thing with this, right? You can push this out, and this is actually easier to take out than the P365 fire control module because there's no pin to push out right here where this beaver tail is. On the 365, there's a pin you have to push out. Here you just take your slide off, you take your takedown lever, and you just wiggle it out, and then you can push up and pull the fire control unit from the front right out of the gun. So it's pretty easy to swap. Like I said, this is 15 rounds, but it does take, and I have the larger P320 magazines that actually go with my P320 Spectre Comp, the full size. So that's the one that's the same size as like the X Legion full size with the heavier grips, like a competition gun kind of. But this is a 21 round magazine, and that fits just fine. Wiggles a little bit, but it fits just fine. So you could technically, and let's see, and it even locks back. So I mean, it works perfectly in this firearm. So you could technically, if you were going to carry this as your daily carry, have your 15 round magazine in the firearm and your 21 round magazine as your spare. I have not been concealed carrying this gun, not because I think it's too big, because I actually don't think it's too big. If you've watched any of my other videos, you know that for a while there I was just to prove that I could do it. I was concealed carrying G17, full-size G17, right? Just fine. And I was carrying it at the 3 o'clock position, so even with the larger or longer grip, it wasn't really causing any issues. I mean, I wasn't pulled over and nobody went running out of the building I was in saying, he's got a gun. So I think that this is definitely capable of being concealed carried. The price that I paid for this firearm, I'm just not concealed carrying it because I've got so many other guns in the rotation I haven't gotten around to it. The price that I paid for this, I think, was $975, somewhere in there. I mean, depending on where you're at and what time you're watching this video, it could be more or less, right? So what are some other options that you could compare this handgun to? So you think about 15 rounds, the same size and thickness, which allows you to get a really good grip on it. I mean, I shoot this gun better than I shoot my P365s because this grip fills my hand better, and I get more leverage with my support hand on this gun. So I do shoot this gun a little better than my P365s, and this is more pleasurable to shoot for that matter. What other guns do I have that kind of might compare to this? The first one that I'm thinking of is the Glock 19. Go ahead and, so that's empty, right? Here's the take up, the wall, break. So there's no creep in this one either. The reset, the break. The brakes sound different. The 320 has the same thud that all 320s or all SIGs have, for that matter, it seems like, with that flat trigger fire control unit. I think the reason that this Glock trigger actually is so good is because this is a Gen 3, and this is my first self-defense gun when I first started concealed carrying, and I've got so many rounds through this that it's either broken or worn out, but it still shoots, and the trigger feels better now than it ever has. I can't tell you how many rounds I've got through this, but let's just say a ton. As far as sizes go, try to line this up the best I can. The P320 grip, I'm trying to get this right, is a little bit longer, right? They both have the magazines in. Is a little bit longer than the G19, But the G19, I don't know how I'm going to get this to be able to show in the camera the way I've got it set up, but the G19, the barrel, the slide is longer by, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch, 1/2 an inch. So the G19 slide is longer. So, I mean, this is a concealed carry gun that is carried by a ton of people. It's probably one of the most popular guns on the planet, and or most sold at least, right? And as far as the size, this is longer in the slide, so maybe not as good for appendix carry. A slight bit shorter, but not enough to care on the grip. So if you can carry this, you can easily carry the P320 as well, especially if you're an appendix carrier, because the slide is shorter. If you're carrying at the 3 o'clock position, which is where I carry, this grip isn't going to cause you a problem. Like I said, I was carrying for a while the G17 full size, Glock. So what is another gun that might compare to this? And I'm sure this is about to upset somebody. But let's compare it to the Staccato CS. So this is the Staccato CS. Here's the take up on the trigger. That's it. There's the brake, which is really good. Reset. That was it. That was the reset. And the brake again. Carry is came with a 3/16 round steel magazines, right? And these magazines actually are not interchangeable with other 2011 platforms. These CS magazines they only fit the CS. How I have this one set up, with the Streamlight light, the sub 7, and then a Holosun 509T. So that's a fully enclosed optic, which this is a really good optic, by the way. And then it also came with, the way I got it set up, it came with the suppressor height sights, so you can co-witness as well with this. So there are obvious differences, right? I mean, so I get a real good grip on this. This gun shoots pretty good, really good actually. You also can ride the safety as to hold someplace to put your thumb, right? So this gun there's a lot of good on this gun, right? And I do carry this gun actually. I carry this inside the waistband at 3 o'clock, and then sometimes I have an outside the waistband holster that I carry at the 3 o'clock position as well for this gun. So take the light out of it, because take the optic out of it. The weight of this firearm is about 23 ounces or 23 ounces. The weight of the Sig is 25 point something ounces without the optic. I'm sure this one is approaching, I'm sure they're about the same weight now, because this Holosun's got to be heavier. It's a fully enclosed optic. And of course I've got the Streamlight on the front of it. So do I think that this Sig is as good as that Staccato? No. But if I'm being honest, for a concealed carry gun or a carry gun, right, I'm not sure that the Staccato is worth 3 times as much as the Sig. So the Sig set up like it is now, $975, we'll just say that. And then the Staccato set up like it is now, minus this, we'll take the light off. The light was $100 and something. I got it on Amazon, right? It's not expensive at all. But the way the gun is set up with the optic and the gun, etc., it was $3,000. Let's just call it $3,000. It might have been a little bit more, but $3,000, right? So do I think that the Staccato is 3 times more expensive or 3 times better than this Sig for just concealed carry? Not really. That's my opinion, right? Your mileage can vary on that, and you can disagree with me. These guns are mine, though, so it's not like I've borrowed these guns or that I've got any affiliation with any manufacturers or anything. This is my honest opinion based on spending my own money and a more than an ample amount of experience with firearms, right? So I've got more firearms than most gun stores probably, and I've got a ton of experience with them. So I don't think that if you're looking for a concealed carry gun or a gun to carry in the woods as a sidearm when you're fishing or hunting, first, if I was hunting, depending on where I'm hunting, I'm not carrying a 9mm anyway. But let's just say that I'm hunting or fishing in a place where 9mm is a sufficient round, right? I would not fork out the additional money for that use case for the Staccato over this P320. If I had to pick, do I think that the P320 is better at $970 something than a G19? Let's say a G19 Gen 5, serrations on the front, with optics cut, right? Do I think that it's better than that G19? Probably, right? I like the only reason this trigger is so good, like I said, is because I've gotten so many rounds through it that it's any day now it'll probably just give up. So I would probably go with the Sig over the Glock. Now, if I could only have one of these guns and price did matter, right, I would get this G19 over any of these other firearms, and I have, because like I said, this was my very first concealed carry home defense gun, so to speak, when I first got married to my wife, and we moved in together, and I decided that as the man of the house I needed something to just in case, you know, something happened, right? I needed some sort of protection for us, right? So this was my first choice. So if I had to do that again, this would be my first choice again. This is incredibly reliable. I shoot this gun really, really well. I think just about everybody that has this gun shoots it well. You get a good grip on it. If you don't like the finger, my fingers fit in those cuts on the Gen 3, but if you don't like that, I have a Gen 5 17, for instance. It doesn't have these cuts. I get a real good purchase on that as well. It shoots, you know, it shoots good, right? So I would pick this if I had to pick between the two and I was kind of trying to pinch some pennies. So that, and I wouldn't look back. I'd be fine with that if that was my only gun. So that's my overview of this firearm. I like this firearm. It feels good in my hand. I shoot it well. The holster that I'm using for this is I have the QVO secondary holster. I don't know what I did with it, but I have the QVO secondary holster that I'm using actually for this handgun as an outside the waistband carry, and I have a leather holster from Southern Trapper, a custom leather holster when I'm carrying this inside the waistband. Those are the holsters, and in fact the QVO tactical holster that I have actually is made for my P320 Spectre Comp, which is full size gun, right? 5-inch slide, compensated barrel, the whole thing. I have an optic on that as well. This gun fits that because the actual dimensions of the main part of the gun are so close that it fits. I mean, it's shorter here with the dust cover, and the grip module is shorter, but the rest of it is really, really close. The fire control units swap out, for instance, right? So that's my brief overview of this firearm. I think that this is a good firearm, and I think that it punches above its weight class when you're looking at concealed carry or general duty. Maybe not if you're a competitor or if you want to squeeze out that, you know, that extra little bit of performance out of your handgun, which is fine if you do. I mean, if you do, then we're talking Atlas Athena, the Staccato CS, the Staccato P, for instance. I like that firearm as well. I have that one too. And if you're trying to squeeze out a little bit more out of an actual duty / carry style gun, you could go up to firearms like that. But if you are not looking for the last ounce of performance, this gun, for the price, I think this is a keeper. So if you have any questions about this firearm or anything else that you've seen on the table or that I've even mentioned, I mean, I could break out the other guns that I talked about as well if you wanted to see them. But leave a comment below in the comments, and if you wouldn't mind, please like and subscribe to my channel, and try to check out some of my other videos. I have a video where I compared the P365s that I have, right? So I have where I compared the standard P365, the XL, and the macro, and then talked about how they're interchangeable and what I think each one of them are for, which is my personal opinion. Anyway, have a good rest of your day. Thank you. Bye.